everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Brittany and I'm on a mission to hit 3,000 subscribers, so if you can click that button below, I would appreciate it. So in today's video, I'm actually going to tell you guys why I offered a customer free embroidery service. So if you're interested, then keep on watching. So we had a customer actually post on the local community through Facebook that she was needing some embroidery work done. And then a bunch of people tagged me in that post, and basically I ended up obviously connecting with her, and I ended up finding out that she was requesting to have a blanket embroidered with a date on it, right? So you're like, okay, like it's, you know, maybe a baby's gonna be born or something like that, right? But it was for a future date, so clearly no baby. So I was like, oh, okay, like, you know, what's going on? And basically she ended up telling me that she adopts kids. And she actually adopted a kid many years ago who had autism, and she was in her process of adopting her second kid. And I was just like, there is no way I'm charging her. Like, there's just no way. So I basically ended up meeting up with her this week, and she picked out this blanket right here. And what you're thinking is, oh boy, that's a lot of horses, right? So not only is she adopting this kid, but she also got him a horse because she's a big rancher. And I was like, this is so cool. So basically we have come to conclusion that we are going to embroider right up on top of here the date in which she is officially going to be adopting this kid. And she even told me, she's like, you see that horse right here? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's the color of his horse. And I'm like, is that just not the coolest thing ever? So I'm like, this is such a genuine person, somebody who is going to be taking in somebody else's, you know, child and basically putting them as part of their family. And I was just like, I absolutely love that. So I was like, listen, this is on the house. I'm like, this is amazing work that you're doing. Let's go ahead and get her blanket embroidered so we can get it dropped back off. So I want to try to figure out what size hoop I need to use for this particular blanket, because obviously, as we can tell, there's a bunch of different squares, right? And obviously I do want to stay within my square. So I haven't really picked anything out at this exact moment in time. Let's just go ahead, kind of lay it down. Obviously I won't be using my 5x5s. Those are a little smaller than what I'm kind of imagining. I do have this, I think this is my 7.25 hoop. So I was thinking this originally, just because obviously it's just a date, so we don't want to make it like too overwhelming. But then I was also thinking my, what one's this? You would think I remember these folks, my 8x13 hoop. So obviously this is the one that I typically use for like my sweaters and things like that, because it's gonna give me my length. I definitely wanna look into maybe another hoop, but not maybe as wide, maybe one that's like shorter. Again, the wish list is always growing when it comes to embroidery. So just keep that in mind, never rush to like order stuff. Buy it when you know you're noticing a frequency of using it, such as like my 5x5 hoops, right? So I think my main thing that I need to figure out first is exactly how big I'm making this image. I think I was gonna do like a 6-inch, but I'm curious to see. Because if I'm doing a 6-inch image, then I can definitely use my 7.25. So this is the fun part that we get to kind of figure out with embroidery, right? So obviously people don't want to pay, in this case, typically for small images, but I also need to put into consideration that there is the head of the horse to where the top of it goes. And I normally always keep a tape measure on my machine. So keep that in mind, because like, for example, I'm just shy of 2.5 inches from where I can embroider from the top of the border and the horse's head. So with the size image that I ended up picking out, or I should say the font and things like that, I think I'm, okay, perfect. So I'm actually just over a hair of an inch by 6. So that's not that bad. So let's go ahead and let's use that one. So now that we figured out the size of the image that we're going to be using, we can now pick out the size hoop. So like I mentioned, my 7.25 is the hoop that I will be using. And basically, since this is going on a blanket, we are going to be using our tearaway. Now, of course, I do personally double up my tearaway when it comes to blankets. So that's just my personal preference. It just depends also on like what I'm using it for. Let's go ahead and cut that out. And then also we do need to use our water stabilites. Salable. Guys, one day I will say this name right, but we have it right here. So let's go ahead. I like to try to clean as I go, just to stay organized. So as you guys know, I will cut it to length, then just fold it. So this is kind of where we need, and if you notice, like, see how it gets distorted one way, but then this way? So I need to make sure that I don't distort that. So I'm just gonna go ahead, fold this down, put my hoop with my backing. Now this is just going to take time to get the center of where we need to be. So again, just take your time. I'm also making sure that I'm, fixing the physical material. Let me move that out of the way. That is way crooked. All right, let's try again. Sometimes we're not gonna get it on our first try, and that's okay, because I do see some people are commenting like, how do you get it straight? Honestly, it just depends on what you're dealing with. With this, and since I'm like working with an image, I'm gonna have to take my time with it. So that looks way better. I am gonna just tug on it ever so slightly because, again, I just wanna make sure I'm nice and taut there. Now that you have your memory card put into the machine, you are just going to click on your memory card button. You should be able to go towards the back and find your images that you put on. Sometimes it doesn't do that and you have to kind of scrounge through it. As you guys can see here, I have 3 pages worth of images up on my USB stick. So I named it date, which is that right there. We're gonna go ahead, hit this button, which will add it to your machine, and just hit OK. So now we're gonna go over to our physical machine button. As you guys can see, I have 8 pages of designs kept onto my embroidery. We're gonna go to last, find it, and select OK. So from here, you wanna go to Design Set. Design Set will actually allow you to change like your size of your image. This will allow you to flip it in a bunch of different directions. But mainly we're gonna focus on that button right there, which is our hoop button. Now, again, it does default all the hoops that come with your RICOMA. I've had a couple comments basically letting me know that we can customize this to Hoopmaster or Mighty Hoops. I really just need to call, honestly. So one subscriber did tell me to always go down a size on my hoop just to avoid, being outside the perimeter. However, I am dealing with the 7.25. So I'm gonna just throw a wamble and see if the D works. I don't think it does. Okay, perfect. So then that will be good. And then basically what we're gonna do is, if you select this button right here, this is your thread button. So when you select that right here, it's actually gonna pull up all your threads. I've said this before, I'll say it again. You can personally change all these colors to match, which is up here. Don't waste your time. You'll be changing out your thread more than you realize, and it's just not worth the hassle, I promise you. And not only that, but the amount of thread that is available to you versus how many color options on your machine that are available won't ever match up. So just don't stress the small things. Now, one thing I do want to make mention is with your hoops up here, it actually starts from 1 and then works its way back. So 1, 2, 3, and then this is number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my white is always 9. 10 and 11, which is brown. Okay, so basically you're working from your front to your back and then over. And that's exactly how you figure out what thread number you're on. You can also come over here, and honestly, it literally labels 1 through 15. And if you want, you can look to see where your thread color is. Again, mine is brown, so we are number 11. So that's another quick way you can also figure it out as well. So I'm gonna go ahead, hit number 11, and we're gonna hit okay. So at this point, we are now able to hoop, well, we've already hooped the product, so let's go ahead, put it on the machine, and let's run this. So I'm just gonna go ahead, take the excess of the blanket, throw it over my arm here of my machine. Let's go ahead, snap her into place. Now, of course, like I mentioned, we are dealing with the blanket, so grab your water soluble, and let's just cut out a strand here. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I am going to, I did this when I was showing you guys. I like my image propped like all the way up, so I'm not like bending down. So let's go ahead and trace her on out. Definitely need to go up, which I expect it. So let's definitely need to come back down. Went up a little too much. She's looking good. Perfect. Perfect. So what you want to do is you kind of just want to run your hands underneath your material just to make sure that nothing got stuck. So everything is clear. I'm going to take my water soluble. I'm going to go ahead and place it down again, making sure that the physical, I want to call it a sweater. Oh my God. The physical blanket is not distorted. So I just kind of brushed it basically. We're going to go ahead, plop her on down and hit go. This embroidered so quick. Now I did bump up my speed to 8:10 because a prior project I had it bumped down to about 7:10, but it came out good. Now we're just gonna go ahead. I mentioned this before. I'm gonna mention it again. I am not going to go in and like fine clean this stabilizer just because I feel like when I present it to the client, it'll look a lot cleaner. And then at that point, when they wash it and things like that, the excess will eventually come off. So here it is done. Look how good that came out. I actually do like the color I picked. Again, not the exact color she wanted, but she also understood because I basically said to her, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna do a brown. And she's like, well, if you can get to the horse as close as possible. I'm like, I'll try, but more than likely, I don't have that color. So we're just gonna go ahead and pull this off. All right, and there you have it. Looks good. Project is done, and we can get this one dropped off to her. It's super cute. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video and a little bit of the little extras that I included, because as I'm watching my videos back, I'm like, I kind of want to show you just different little things that I've learned along the way. So hopefully you did enjoy it. If you could, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next crafting project. Bye everyone.